welcome to today's town hall presented by Z Prime and CPS Energy. I'm Erin Otan, I'm Z Prime's Director of Research Programs, and I will be moderating today's session. So this is a town hall discussion, so we want everyone in the audience to participate, submit questions and comments. You can do that using the chat function in Zoom. And after the panelists' discussion and presentations, we'll get to as many audience questions as we have time for. So I would like to go ahead and welcome today's panelists. We've got Paula Gold-Williams, President and CEO, CPS Energy, Dr. Cris Eugster, Chief Operating Officer, Rudy Garza, Chief Customer Engagement Officer, and Krista Davis, Director of Energy Supply and Market Operations Strategy. It's so great to see you all. You know, Z Prime and CPS Energy work closely together. So typically our team in Austin is making several trips a year down to see you guys in San Antonio. And sadly, it's been, I think, since last year's City of the Future event, almost a year ago, since we were all together. But seeing you all virtually today it's fun. It makes me feel like we're having a little bit of a reunion. So thank you all for being here today. Before I turn things over to the panelists to give some opening remarks, we are going to play a quick game. So audience members, get ready to submit your answers here. Each of the panelists has submitted a fact about themselves. So I'm going to read those facts, and the audience members, please use the chat function to guess which panelist each fact is about. All right, so first fact here. This person says their first job was at the age of 13, scoring targets at a gun range. Who do y'all think from CPS Energy that fact is about? All right, we've got some answers coming in. And someone finally guessed correctly. That was Krista. Thank you, Krista, for sharing that fact about yourself. All right, next one. This person sold fireworks from 8 years old to the age of 16 for a family business. And people seem to know this one. That one was Rudy. All right, thank you, Rudy, for sharing that about yourself. This person's favorite song is Don't Stop Believing by Journey, and I would love to hear them do karaoke to that one day. And yep, this fact was about Dr. Cris Eugster. Thank you, Cris, for sharing that. And so last but not least, I think everyone knows who this is about now, our process of elimination, but we've got this person once studied modern dance, and that was Paula. So Paula, we're gonna, see you dance one day. Cris, do some karaoke, go to the gun range with Krista, and shoot off some fireworks with Rudy. That'll be a fun night. All right, thank you everyone for playing along. No prizes involved, but that was a fun game. And thank you, panelists, for sharing a little more personal side to yourselves. So at this point, I will turn things over to the panelists for some opening remarks, and we are going to start with Paula. Paula, we'll start with you, and looking forward to hearing some of your plans and CPS Energy's plans for 2021.
All right, well, very good. Thanks, Erin. And you all can hear me well? That'd be very good. Well, happy Tuesday to everyone. Actually, I will tell you that the one thing Cris and I probably argue about is who loves Journey more. So that could have been me. Yeah, big idol of theirs. Even their cover band, when the cover band does them, I like Don't Stop Believing. So so that way it was good. And by process of elimination, all the things I could do when I was studying dance, I cannot do today. So Erin, you will not see any risk of movement, like I did in the old days. That would put me in a safety risk zone. So I'm excited to be here. Thanks to Z Prime for putting this together and keeping this on track to talk about industry trends in energy, which is just near and dear to our hearts. And Jason, thanks so much for your leadership. It's been a wonderful partnership. You have helped us focus our external voice, but you've also helped us amplify our internal voice and create the connection. So yes, maybe it's different because we all love to be around each other and, you know, have a soda and sit around and catch up, and it doesn't feel like that. But at the same time, we are focused on making technology work for us. I, in many ways, feel like privileged that you all let me into your homes. Erin, I can see that lovely kitchen behind you. And I thought, well, that's what a lovely glimpse. I would have never thought to think about that. And there is a certain element where we're using technology, but we are more open and willing and I think encouraging in terms of people have lives. We work to live. And you know, it's an avenue, but it's also something where we can take a moment and connect. So we're connecting virtually and we're connecting, I think, personally, which I really appreciate the opportunity to do. You know, interestingly, one of our executives here, who is my chief of staff, sent me a text just before we went online. And she said, Paula, remember, today is CPS Energy's birthday. Of course, I did not remember. This is our official birthday. We have been a energy service company for 160 years. She said, we look pretty good for our age, which I appreciate that. I don't always feel like I'm rested, but she said we look pretty good for our age. And it is significant that we've been in the industry for a very long time. And we have what I now coin 3,100 People First champions that take care of this community and that do a diligent job every single day. And we're proud of our history. We are present today in what we know we have to do, but we're also mindful that we have to look forward and think about the future. So past, present, and future, a lot of times Cris will take us through the evolution of the industry that way. But I think it's a really good sense of knowing that you have a rich history, knowing that you have to be present today, and knowing that you have to have an eye on what the energy developments and innovation are on the horizon that you can help motivate or bring to life, however that can work. So CPS Energy's position in the industry is one of feeling like we have a diverse role, feeling that we have to, again, be great stewards of the assets that we get to manage for a community. We always are trying to explain to people that the assets are owned by our community. We get the pleasure of optimizing them, and we're really, really good at it. And we have to try to keep them with us on the journey. We want them to be, if they can give us a glimpse of their time, a piece of their time, to tell them the types of things that we are thinking about to solve energy problems today and bring them new value in the future. That pretty much explains how we get motivated to keep driving. We do study energy markets around the globe. I have talked to CEOs in Germany and Asia and Australia and Canada, Mexico. And in reality, the energy industry broadly is pretty common. There's a lot of similarities. You have to think about it from regionally where you are and what your customers have accustomed to and what they've invested in. But everyone's trying to solve, how do we get to decarbonization? How do we get to net zero emission? Is there a way to accelerate it without causing bill shock and rolling blackouts? Those are deal breakers in terms of what our customers ultimately expect. They expect diligence and expertise. They expect for their light switches to come on when they need it. Matter of fact, I would say the one thing about COVID, what we saw, other than disrupting everything and making us rethink our processes and how we care for our employees, it also, I think, raised the level of expectation. People always noticed blinks, but there are more people working from home now. So now again, this ability to stay away from rolling blackouts, but in fact, constantly look at the quality of power delivery that we are providing is just something that is the new price of admission. I, I think one of the challenges in the energy industry, though, is really meeting this expectation about making it easier, making it more transactional, making it, you know, two-way systems and ways that people can choose to look at it when they want to, or not worry about that, but also those who want to kind of look at their data, compete with their neighbors. All of those things are easily done. And then we've got to think about these bigger, broader issues, because technology has to be encouraged, innovation has to be encouraged. And so today you're going to hear from some of our team members that are going to tell you how we're trying to do that, how we're trying to take this major strategy that we have, which is called the flexible path strategy. And it basically says we're going to be flexible to embracing energy solutions. We're going to think about our options and pick the best choices. And so that guides us in terms of exploring, being in learning mode, being open, thinking again about the best way to transition. And so you'll hear them talk about a couple of strategies we're doing, how we're trying to bundle value, bring the ability to bring the best technology and mitigate any challenges it has. And we're trying to do it both in terms of large scale generation to in-home products and services. And so we have multiple processes on that. I don't want to steal their thunder, but I do want to say for the CPS Energy team members that are on the line, I thank you for all your contributions every day. I thank you for embracing our people first views and believing that we're doing something really amazing here and being a part of that transition. It takes 3,100 people first champions to make the type of evolutionary change that is in front of us. And the very last thing I'll say is, when I started being CEO, the one thing I asked the organization to do is actually think about failure. There is there is risk of trying something and failing, but if you don't try it all, you will definitely fail. If you sit and think, you know what, I want to do it the same way I've always done it. I don't want to change. I don't want to, that's a headache. I'm going to stay with the tried and true. If you do that, you'll survive for a while, but I've seen too many businesses fail by not evolving. Too many businesses that fail thinking that customers will just be satisfied with what they received yesterday. And this is why this disruption issue is a really big deal. Why would you let someone disrupt you when you can in fact create the change? And so again, I thank all of our CPS Energy employees, because we are part of this change and we're driving it and we're helping drive it within the industry. And so we are often able to make connections and compare results and then blend our tried and true business with new opportunities. And we're going to keep doing that for as much as we can. So Erin, I'll conclude there and let you get some of our other speakers to talk today.
Thank you, Paula. I love that about making each of your 3,100 employees be, agents of change. All right, so Cris, from an operations and innovation perspective, can you give us some of your thoughts and an overview of what your plans are for 2021?
Sure. As long as you don't make me sing Don't Stop Believing Journey, I'm okay. I want to say thank you to Paula for her leadership over the last 5 years, especially. We are doing a lot, and we got a lot of things going on, a lot of exciting things. So, we appreciate her thinking of the team, but I also want to thank her for her leadership. And also I want to echo Paula's comments. Thank you, Z Prime, for convening this. It's important to continue these kind of thought leadership discussions, even in this, age of the pandemic. So thank you, Aaron, to you and Jason, to your entire team. I want to start by just saying, CPS Energy is a big player in the power industry. We're the largest municipally owned public utility from an electric gas perspective. We're the fourth largest power producer in the state of Texas. We serve nearly a region of nearly 2 million people in terms of population. And so, we are doing a lot here, and we're doing it in a very innovative way. We're doing it by leveraging the investments that we've made over decades, the tried and true that Paula talks about, and also embracing change, embracing new technologies. And there are a lot of milestones that we've achieved. We're number one in solar in Texas, number 5 in the country. We've overachieved our energy efficiency goals. We are one of the biggest wind portfolios in the state, among the biggest wind portfolios in the state. And we have digitized our grid. So we put AMI into our network. So we have a two-way grid that enables all sorts of interesting products and services, which I think Rudy will cover, everything from EVs to home area solutions on the power side, on the energy side. We've also shut down 2 coal plants here in 2018. And so we are actively transitioning in this very exciting field. The energy space is full of disruption and change. Under Paula's leadership, we have put forth the flexible path, which again leverages the tried and true. So we're not throwing away all the good stuff that this community is invested in, but at the same time, we're using that to embrace new technologies. And Paula often talks about being a pilot city. We want to try new things. We want to try different things because by doing that, we can, fundamentally change how we serve our customers. And we're not afraid of failing. Sometimes you have to fail to succeed. So, that's part of the flexible path, really being nimble and agile as we kind of push through on our strategy. The Flex Power Bundle is probably one of the most exciting things that we've got coming out here this year. We got a lot of other things going on, but personally, I'm very excited about that one. It is really the first strategic operational aspect of the flexible path. And it really looks to replace aging gas steam fossil plants that were built in the 60s and 70s with primarily solar, up to 900 megawatts of solar, 50 megawatts of battery storage, and up to 500 megawatts of firming capacity. And the reason it's significant, the reason we've bundled it is this is not just doing another PPA for some solar or wind in West Texas and adding it to our generation mix. This bundle has to replace a physical plant that is producing physical electrons. And so it has to perform in a similar way, albeit newer technologies. So we are studying closely how that bundle will ultimately replace that plant. The good news is the gas steam units are primarily summer run units, primarily peaking units. So they start in the early morning and around 10 o'clock, run through the day, 10 o'clock at night. So it's not a 24/7 plant, but we will need to have storage and firming to basically firm up the solar when it's not there. So we have some guiding pillars. 3 of the most important ones are reliability, affordability, and the environment. There's security, safety. There's some other ones that are equally important, but we really focus on those in terms of making sure that bundle will provide the resources that our community needs. And the reason I think it is game changing is if you think about 900 megawatts of solar, that is almost a gigawatt of solar. It really triples. We're already number 1 in Texas. Now we're going to triple the amount of solar in our portfolio. And so it really is taking solar to a whole new level, but at the same time, bringing that firming capacity to that solar to ultimately make it reliable and affordable to our customers. So it is, in my view, a very unique and innovative way of approaching this, change and decarbonization that all of the utilities and cities around the world are going through. And we're very excited. We did an RFI to really explore different types of technologies, and I think we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the session. But now with an RFP, we're looking at firm bids, and so it's really going to be interesting to see what kind of technologies we have, especially around the long duration storage and the firming capacity, because we've taken an all source approach to that. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Aaron. I think Krista will give you more details about deadlines and milestones with that project. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Cris. Yeah, I know Krista has been deeply involved in the process around the Flex Power Bundle. And so Krista, I will turn it over to you. I think we'll hear more about that. So over to you now.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you again, Z Prime, for having us. And I just echo Paula and Chris's comments already, and just thank them also for the opportunity to be here today and to be a part of this process. So as Cris mentioned, this is a big deal for us. We have a huge team leading this effort at CPS Energy. I was just texting my team members to see if we broke our milestone from earlier. So we didn't hit it yet, but we're at 299 companies registered on the Power Advocate portal for our RFP. Doesn't mean that everybody will necessarily respond, but even if we get a 50% response rate on that, we're going to see a lot of different options for our community and our energy future. And even talking with our partners at Power Advocate, this is one of the largest registrations that they've ever seen for an RFP. We're in the top 3, and that information is about a week ago. So we might have even moved up to maybe number 1 or number 2. So it's really exciting. But it's also getting really real, right? So we have some deadlines that have hit here recently, and we had our question deadline last week on January the 12th. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago now, it seems like. And we had 350 questions come in, right, over the length of time. So in about 6 weeks, we had 350 questions, and a bulk of those questions were that last day of the deadline, because we reminded everybody that there was a deadline. And looking back on it now, we're like, man, maybe we should have sent out that reminder message, because we got this flood of questions. So we've received and responded to 350 questions using subject matter experts from around the company. And we'll get a little bit into this, the details of Flex Power Bundle later, but this takes a village, right, at the company. It's not just a small team. It's not just me and 5 folks in a room. We have hundreds of people in our organization working on this, and each plays a specific part because it's so complex. And so for the 350 questions, for folks that still want to register, you can. We created a frequently asked questions document from those 350 questions that we got. And so we landed a little bit over 100 questions on the FAQ. And so even though that deadline has passed, we have a resource available for folks to go and research some questions that have already been answered. And so I think we have a really good spread of questions there for anybody to go back and look at. And also, we did our pre-recorded pre-bid meeting back in December. So anybody wanting to know more information about the components of our RFP can still go look at that. It's on our website at cpsenergy.com/FlexRFP. And so we've had a lot of views on that as well, and folks are really excited. And as Paula mentioned, we are seeking resources at all levels, not just transmission, scale, solar or battery storage that most utilities would do. We are taking a very different approach, which we'll get into. But we're looking for products at every level, at the distribution level, at the transmission level, and we're even encouraging community solar projects. So the next thing is our deadline for submission is Monday. So we're just 6 days away from our submittal deadline. We were having a meeting yesterday, and somebody joked like, what if so many people are trying to upload documents that the system crashes? And I was like, no, don't hex us, right? Don't say anything like that just yet, So we're really excited to see what we get back. So we're wrapping that up. So just want to remind everybody our deadline's Monday at 3 p.m. And, our board has really challenged us to wrap up this whole process by the end of July. And so that's what we're targeting. But it really depends on the volume of responses and the complexity of the contracts and projects that we see, because we really want to do our due diligence to make sure that we are really, taking into account all of the projects that are going to be a part of this bundle. It's going to be many projects, not going to be 1 or 2. I think it's going to be a handful, or maybe, even upwards of close to, 10 projects it could be. So we really look forward to that. And we'll be talking a little bit more about the other aspects of the Flex Power Bundle, later in the conversation. But thank you again, Aaron, for the opportunity, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Krista. And finally, we're going to hear from Rudy Garza from a customer engagement perspective. So Rudy, over to you.
Well, Aaron, first, let me thank you and Jason and the entire Z Prime team. I love the conversations that we always get into when we're together about the future of our industry and how CPS Energy is trying to our best to be a leader, not just in the conversation regarding what we think about the future for our customers in San Antonio, but broadly how we help lead the conversation across the country and ultimately the world. You hear Paula talk all the time about, we at CPS Energy, we think global and we act local. And the strategies that you've heard all of our leaders talk about to now really ultimately come down to really one truth. And that truth is, are we being the best utility provider that we can possibly be for our customers in San Antonio? How, they've told us what's important to them because we talk to them all the time and ask them the job CPS Energy is doing and, and give us feedback, to Paula's point, about being self-critical and improving the way that we're providing service to the San Antonio community. And what they've told us is this we know. They want our service, our electric and gas service. They want it to be affordable. They want it to be reliable. They want us to be safe in everything that we do. They want us to be both physically and.
We can hear you.
Did we lose Rudy?
We lost Rudy.
Uh-oh. Okay, I'm gonna pitch it for him a bit. He comes back in, we'll kind of wing it. But I think where he was headed is, and Cris touched on this, as we, our evolution is we have this big concept about the flex power, the flexible path, and that manifested into what we're doing now. And Krista described it in very well relative to the flex power bundle. We created a pillar, a view that we had to have values, guiding values, no matter what big strategy or initiative that we're going through. So we talk about it a lot. We survey customers. There's 6 primary ones: affordability and reliability. But to be in balance, there are other pillars that we have, and it's this care about keeping everyone safe, customers and employees, the public, the security around the systems. I think we all saw the challenges that happened with the security breach that hit a lot of agencies and businesses. And that just goes to show you that security, both cyber and physical, become very, very important. So security is one of our pillars. Also, when we're thinking about, and this is in Chris's area, rebuilding the grid so it is more robust and able to flow power and information in both ways, in multiple, matter of fact, not just two-way. I mean, we think it's going to be a dynamic ecosystem once it's further evolved. And then we have environmental responsibility. Cris, we put that as part of our guiding pillars up there. And then resiliency also speaks to, I think what I'm finding is when we designed it, we thought about it in terms of system resiliency, again, the ability to restore and be fully functional, even though there's disruption of some type. Interestingly, I think part of this evolution is about resiliency of people. How resilient are we when we run into adversity and challenge to be able to take in that feedback and understand the landscape and then still keep going? So that's kind of guiding us from that standpoint. And we put it all back into how we serve our customers. Rudy's area is directly responsible for customer engagement and customer success. And right now, one of the biggest issues that we have is the economic impact that has happened. Jobs have been lost, and in some cases don't appear to be returning anytime soon. So in his area last year, we started an outbound call function. We had disconnected, we had deferred doing any type and suspended doing any type of disconnects in March and seeing that it was bad. But then we decided to call customers. These are not collection calls. These are caring calls. So we have a group of people, our energy advisors, they're just amazing. Our frontline employees, everyone from the people who restore storms, maintain equipment, answer phones, run plants, work in the warehouse, manage the fleet. I mean, they're just amazing in what they do. And in particular, in our call center, we have a group of employees that call customers to ask how they're doing, to see if there's something in one of our programs that can provide them assistance. We can put someone on a payment plan and then waive any late fees that ever happen. We can check to see if there's an affordability discount for them, if there are senior programs, different things that we can do for them. And then our employees are equipped to look at even United Way agencies and see if there's a way that we can get them additional assistance. And quite literally, it doesn't happen every single day, but there have been days when our employees have called and saved a life, found someone who just has been abandoned in this chaotic period, unable to get assistance, and our people find a way to help them. Matter of fact, when we do connect them with the correct agencies, sometimes our people get, why are you calling us? Why would you be out there helping customers? And it's hard for them to understand that the utility company cares about the community that it serves. And we consider our customers, our friends, and our neighbors, and our family in many cases. I grew up in this community. So these are the things that are important to us in every single way. And then on top of that, we understand that the consumption of energy is important in terms of how do we change behavior where people think more about energy efficiency and conservation. So we have a flexible step program, Flex Step, where we're taking a tried and true energy efficiency and conservation program that's award-winning, and we're trying to think about how to update it. And so when Cris and Krista finish pulling in global responses on our Flex Power bundle, Rudy will be revving up to put another global RFP out there for energy efficiency and conservation. We have to put funding behind programs to incent people to help look for and want to find new solutions. And we want them to bring them, as Cris said, we want to be the pilot capital on the energy side of the world. But if you don't encourage it and you don't bring them to where you can reach critical mass in the 7th largest city in the United States, then you're wasting, I think, a great bit of your opportunity. So I think those were the points he probably would have tried to hit. And I think maybe he'll get on when we get into the question and answer period, Aaron, and maybe we can get him back here.
I'm back, Paula. I don't know what happened there, but I got kicked out.
Your words were amazing. They just came to me, Rudy, and I just filtered. I was like, I was your vehicle.
All right.
I think Aaron's gonna catch you on the question piece.
Yeah. Thanks. Glad you're back, Rudy, and thank you, Paula, for stepping in and pinch hitting, as you said. So we are going to get into some Q&A. I have a couple questions for the panel, but I wanted to remind everyone in the audience to please submit your questions, and we'll get to as many as we can. But before we get to the questions, I have an exciting announcement, which is that CPS Energy and Z Prime are announcing today that we will be hosting our 3rd City of the Future event. So it's coming up May 11th through 13th. It will be virtual and open to everyone, so anyone anywhere can attend. You can register for free at cityofthefuture.io. I think one of our Z Prime team members will put that link down in the chat. But I'm super excited to do this event again. It's my favorite of the year. And with that, I will get into the question portion. And so Paula, my first question is for you, directly about City of the Future. It's our 3rd one. So what does City of the Future mean to you? And why do you think it's so important that we continue this conversation?
Well, I always have to talk about this in terms of where we actually started before we were partnering with Z Prime. We about 5 years ago, we did our own thing, and it was called the Future of Energy. And I always tell the story, right? So I'm beginning to understand that the industry is really, really going to start moving faster. I mean, we're starting to see technology take off. We're starting to see prices for certain products start to come down, and we're starting to see the efficiency of products go up. And I want to share that. I think the first time, though, what we did is we introduced our senior team. As a utility, a lot of times we don't even want to be seen and not heard. We just want to be in the background doing things. So I had to get all our senior leaders on stage, and we talked about what we were thinking. And then this was even before we came up with Flexible Path, and it was great. Well, great for us, right? We brought people in and had lunch, and then had an afternoon of talks. But we had people there that goes, well, what's so important about energy? Why is that? Why, that seems kind of, it's a given, and you can only spend about an hour on energy. And I'm like, well, no, people actually spend their entire careers thinking about it. It is a 24-hour, 24/7, 365 business. But then when we partnered with Z Prime, I think that gave us such tremendous value, because the Z Prime organization was already into not just talking about what we're currently doing, but very much bringing in this conversation about what should we be doing? How should we be headed? Where's thought leadership going in the industry, and amplifying that and changing the conversations. And we admired the fact that there was an event that was in Austin, and we actually have a Texas Public Power corridor between Austin, LCRA, New Braunfels, and San Antonio. We make up a corridor. So we're very comfortable, going to Austin to do things. But as I was talking to Jason, I said, hey, there's enough content, right? Let's do something in San Antonio. And it's just been a great avenue to bring in more topics and see them evolve, and see the interest that people have in bringing in all of these things that are really intended to have energy be a driver to responding to life, to be in this creative space, and be able to have these conversations about even the qualitative and the social aspects of providing power, and why those things are absolutely important. And so here we are again, I'm to the point now where, okay, Austin or San Antonio, doesn't really matter. We're gonna make this happen even through our virtual mechanisms, because the conversation is that important. And I have been in admiration and appreciation of Z Prime for reinventing how we are going to engage our employees and the public. And so I think even 2021 is even more special. We're not out of COVID yet, but it doesn't dampen our interest to move this industry along. Matter of fact, I think there are certain people we can touch that we wouldn't normally touch, because the ease of a virtual connection is getting just more and more smooth. So in many, many ways, I think we're growing up with these evolutions. It's important for us to have great partners as we move forward. And so this whole thing means a tremendous amount to me, and I'm just really excited about what we can continue to push, even in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, and I think even doing it virtual this year, that opens up, it opens it up to anyone around the country or around the world. And there are so many cool things going on in San Antonio that I think people outside of Texas, or even outside of the city of San Antonio, don't really know about. So it's a great opportunity for people to learn more. So I'm really looking forward to it. And Cris, part of this City of the Future, looking towards the future, is about innovations and new technologies. And I know your role at CPS Energy also includes or encompasses innovation. And I think especially Central Texas right now are sort of ripe with innovators. And Krista talked about all the ideas you guys are getting out of this Flex Power Bundle RFP. So when you're looking at all these ideas and technologies and innovations, what is your approach to prioritizing and implementing them? How do you decide sort of which ones to actually focus on?
Yeah, great question, and I'll answer it in two parts. But first, you're right. Texas is the place to be. ERCOT is the place to, everyone from California is moving to Texas. Tesla, SpaceX. It's just the list goes on and on. So this kind of corridor between Austin and San Antonio, I think, is very interesting from an innovation standpoint. But to answer your question there are really two parts. One is how we internal to CPS Energy think about innovation, and then how do we externally think about it. And internally, we have an innovation council. We partner with Epicenter to, look at interesting technologies. Z Prime, it's that partnership with key players. We have a lot of subject matter expertise, but we're very good at doing certain things. But looking at that next thing, I think sometimes we need help. And so the biggest thing, I think, and really relevant to this forum, is the public-private partnership. We are a public utility serving 2 million customers in a broad region, vertically integrated all the way from power generation to the wires to serving the retail customer. And doing things like the Flex Power Bundle, or the next RFP for the STEP program, or Flex Step, that really brings from the private sector some very innovative ideas into our business model. So I do think that the public-private partnership around major procurement items like the Flex Power Bundle or the Flex Step is a really unique way CPS Energy can really bring innovation into our community. And on top of that, we are open to doing pilots. Again, we partnered with the Epicenter to vet different types of technologies and companies. So there's a lot of different ways, but we are really looking for a partnership to really drive that innovation to the next level.
Great, thank you. And Krista, again, mentioning those so many questions that you got on during the RFP process. How important overall to the process is stakeholder feedback, and even in developing the Flex Power Bundle? And can you just sort of talk about that process of getting stakeholder input and feedback?
Yeah, thank you, Erin. Rudy mentioned earlier in his comments, that we reach out to our customers all the time. And we do that, before COVID, we would do that through traditional methods, right? Through doing surveys and face-to-face outreach, right? And so that's had to change, right, over the last year. And we have had to really focus on more intimate, virtual sessions with our customers, not only residential, but large commercial, medium commercial, small businesses across the city and across our community, but also focusing on using the technology that we have at our fingertips, like Zoom, like Facebook Lives. We've done a lot of virtual town halls to be able to connect with our customers. And our customer response unit business area also did a lot of people first fairs where we are reaching out to our customers, letting them know about what we're doing. And so, Cris and Paula, I think Rudy all mentioned that our customers have told us that they want affordable, reliable, and environmental friendly power, and they want us to do it safe, right? And so that's really important to us. And so we've just had to shift the way that we've done it, but stakeholder engagement in this process, there are stakeholders, so we really have to listen to them. It's vital, and it's our job to deliver, on what we're seeing that the community wants. So it's really important.
Great, thank you. And Rudy, I think Krista just mentioned some of these customer outreach methods, but can you maybe expand upon that a little bit? What are some of the methods that you've seen have been most effective? Are they new things like these virtual and digital outreach? Is it, like Paula was mentioning, calling people up on the phone? What have you found most effective, and are there any new methods that you're planning for 2021?
Sure. So let me start by just doing a quick connectivity check. Can you hear me, Aaron?
Yep, you're good.
Sorry about that. The answer to the question is all of the above. You know, what I know about our customers is that one size does not fit all. Every customer has different needs. Every customer wants to connect with us, you know, maybe in a different way. And, you know, we have to be open to all the possibilities of being available to our customers when they give us an opportunity, you know, to connect with them. So I reinforce not just, you know, I've got a team of 500 customer service centric employees that do it every day. Our strategy at CPS Energy is that we got 3,100, you know, people first champions, as Paula likes to say, and there should be no wrong door for our customers when it relates to connecting with CPS Energy. And so we've done a lot to pivot over the last year to focus on a message that CPS Energy understands the struggles that our customers are facing, and that you know, as I said before, that we're in it together. You know, even before the pandemic, San Antonio already had the largest population of people living under the federal poverty guideline of any major U.S. city. And so we try to keep that fact in mind. You know, we're really proud of the effort to pivot in the direction of calling our customers. That's something we told our customers we're never going to call you. Well, first thing we did when the pandemic started is we started calling our customers. You know, and so that just shows that you have to constantly be reinventing yourself if you're going to make a good connection. We're doing radio, we're doing TV, we're putting ads in the paper. You know, we're calling customers, and that was kind of last year. We really amped up the outreach that we're doing to our customers, but we got a lot of things in the pipeline for the coming year that are going to help us really take things to a whole different level. We've started a program that Paula has really advocated on called CPS Energy Angels. There are customers out there who want to help other customers pay bills who might need it. Maybe it's a mom who wants to pay their daughter's bill, or it's a primo wanting to pay their cousin's bill, or a friend who just wants to help somebody in need in their community. And we're going to make it real easy on our customers to do that, so that we can have a people helping people strategy for CPS Energy and the San Antonio community. Another thing that we really didn't think of until our chairman of our board, Mr. John Steen, was talking to one of our city council members, Manuel Pelaez, is to translate all of the assistance materials that we have into languages of refugees that have large populations here in San Antonio. So we started out, we translated our first piece into a language called Pashto, which is an Afghani language. We're going to do a Rohingya, which is a language of Myanmar. And then we're going to translate our assistance into Burmese for a large Burma population that's in his district. And we're doing this as a pilot, but we've also started translating all of our global press releases into 10 different languages, so we can put it out, into the global, stratosphere, that there's business to be done in CPS Energy, and we're welcoming all all takers, so to speak. So, we're also in the process of rethinking our long-term Safer Tomorrow energy plan and what the next 10 years of our energy efficiency program looks like. We're calling that Flex Step. So we have a ton of irons in the fire as it relates to programs and opportunities that we've got for our customers. And, and again, 2021 is going to be just another opportunity for us to continue in raising the bar in how we're serving our customers.
Quick follow-up for you, Rudy. How are your customers responding? What kind of reaction have you gotten, especially when you called people after saying you wouldn't call them? What kind of response have you seen?
Well, to joke, first we had to convince them that we were not a scammer call. And once we got past, we had a lot of customers who screened us, quite frankly, because they thought we were calling to ask, to ask them for money. And that's not what we're doing at all. Most of our calls are, hey, how are you doing? how's your family? Are you safe? Do you need any help? We don't always get into a conversation about payment plans, but I will tell you the response has been significant. Once our customers realize that it's not a collection call, we've gotten to 60% of our customers. We've helped our customers connect with almost $18 million of bill payment assistance just by reaching out and asking them how we can help them. I'm really proud of, we call it our customer outreach resource effort team, our core team, but I'm so proud of the work that all of our team has done reaching out. And it's business customers, it's small business, it's residential. We're really, spanning the diverse cross section of our customers, trying to connect with them in any way we can, just to offer our help.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. So Paula, we've heard a lot today about people first, and I think you guys do really exemplify that. And I think now other companies are having to reckon with how they actually treat their employees and how they, accommodate them, how in a time like this. So how have you continued to foster community over the past year specifically for your employees? So many navigating new challenges, working from home, and then also just having to keep working while there's a global pandemic out there.
Well, one thing, Cris says this a lot, there's not just one silver bullet of trying to do anything. We learned many, many years ago that you have to be diversified. And as Rudy said, all customers, have different perspectives, and you have to respect all of that. So we consider ourselves that we're in learning mode all the time. To Rudy's point, for at first when we were calling customers that they didn't believe, we had very low ratios of people even picking up the phone. But for all the calls that we've made, for 60% of those calls made, now people, not only will they pick up the call, but when we call back the next month to check on them, they'll answer it. So you have to not only tell people you're going to do something, you have to follow up and make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. I will say we even have a couple of individuals who've had marriage proposals, and because again, in a time when we are feeling very disconnected from each other, it's just amazing to have to think about that. And what we didn't really realize, Aaron, was how much that was going to mean for our employees to be able to do that. When we hired our employees, we hired them to be inbound callers, right? We didn't hire them to, in fact, put their empathy out there and then find what the value proposition was for any, and all customers and listen. The art of listening and not being scripted is really challenging. But what they have found is they've gotten a whole lot more value out of that. Now, Rudy conducts a check-in with the team every week. And when I can, I sit in and listen to the stories, and that level of engagement that they have when they talk about their experiences, the level of respect and appreciation, the level of connection, I think has done a tremendous amount for our organization. And we complement it with, again, tried and true things that we do. I also do a CEO customer care program that I've done for years. And in that, any employee can get recognized for impressing a customer with sincere and quality service. And normally when I first started becoming the CEO, I would get a lot of angry calls. But now I get a lot of letters and messages and emails, and people tell me these amazing stories. You've got to put that positivity back out in the ether, and we have to thank our employees for their engagement. To me, they always are wearing these big S's underneath their blue shirts and blouses and different things that they do. And we have to really think personally, again, about their contributions. Our employees are going through a lot of the same things that our customers are. They went through the whole trying to educate kids at work. While they're working from home. And I even had a couple of customers call me angry at first, right? In the middle of the beginning of the pandemic. Why would you let why don't they have some other place to take their kids when they're talking business? It's middle of COVID, right? So I apologize profusely, make sure that the person's needs are taken care of. But at the same time, I compliment our employees for finding the balance in their life to do both. And I've had some amazing experiences at first. Typically, even when their kids show up on screen, I think it's fabulous. So we stop the meeting and we start to have a conversation with, I don't know, it might be a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, for as long as they have interest. Not very long. They're not impressed with me. But that too, I think, has changed how our employees believe that the company truly cares, not just about the customers, but about them. And it's absolutely true. And now more than any, this pandemic again has made us really believe here at CPS Energy, we take nothing for granted. We take no one for granted. People who you thought I'll just see them next year or see her next month, in some cases, we don't have that opportunity. So we translate that to the way that we execute our business every day. And I think it, again, makes us a lot more present with each other, which I think is probably one of the biggest gifts. Whenever you have a challenge, you have to take that challenge and make it an opportunity. And that's what we're trying to do here at CPS Energy.
Yeah, I think those listening sessions are really important. I mean, Z Prime's only a company of 20 employees. It's a lot different than what you've had to deal with, but we've sort of implemented some of those same things where we've got, you know, a huddle on Monday mornings where we don't really talk about work. We just kind of chat. And I think it does make a difference. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
All right, getting a little bit back into the technology side. Cris, a question for you. So this technology is not really new, but definitely plays a role in the city of the future, which is electrification of transportation. Can you talk about some of CPS Energy's plans around mobility and electrification for 2021?
Yes, and EVs are a big part of our electrification strategy and plans. In fact, transportation is probably about 40% of the carbon footprint for our region. So it's something that we really want to take serious. We are very bullish on EVs. They use our products. So obviously we like a growth aspect to the utility business, not just efficiency or conservation. This is a growth element in a clean way. So we are seeing strong growth in EVs. The numbers are still pretty small, but even through the pandemic, we've seen continued growth in EVs in our region. We are rolling out some interesting programs. We partnered with Rudy's organization in rolling those out, because the key for us is when those vehicles get charged, we'd like to have them charged later in the evening so that they use West Texas wind, or when the peak demand is not that high. And overall, we can serve it with our generation mix, but it's really at the local level for that, that neighborhood. If you've got everyone coming home at 5 o'clock or plugging in at the same time, it can stress out some of those transformers that are on the poles right by those homes and businesses. So really helping to shape that EV charging profile is going to be important. So we have a couple different programs that we're rolling out. One is a managed charging feature service, much like the home thermostat. So we can control the charger in partnership with the customer. We do incent the customer. We make it, payment for that. And I think we give them a rebate on the charger itself. If they don't want to have a partnership on the control side, we can also just provide them a peak rebate if they just inherently shift their charging profile. And with our digitized network, we can kind of monitor, or we can manage that service. And again, pay them a rebate if they shift that charging profile. And then we also have a time of use pilot that we are also looking to incent charging off those peak hours. So we are pushing hard in the EV space, and I think we're going to see more and more EVs here in San Antonio. In terms of broader electrification, we're talking to the airport about electrifying some of the service fleet to the airport itself. Some of that is challenging because you were having to work with specific airlines on some of their technologies, but we are having those discussions. Looking at also other industrial fleets, how can we incent more of an EV fleet for others? We're doing that for ourselves. We're buying more EVs in our fleet. It hasn't yet gotten there to the bucket truck, but for basic kind of transportation vehicle, some of the vehicles that Rudy's teams work with, we have plug-in vehicles there. And one area that we're particularly interested in is school buses. We want to see more school buses go EV. There are some interesting technologies out there, and so we are looking at those as part of our electrification strategy.
Great, thank you. Just quick follow-up. Jason actually had submitted a question, and this is related to what you were talking about. So even through the pandemic, have you seen EV interest grow both on the fleet side and the consumer side?
Yes, we have. So we track it very closely. And right around March 8th, we did see a bit of a slowdown across the board, but that was kind of when the whole pandemic hit the hardest. But ever since then, we've seen a steady growth in EV sales in our service territory.
That's very exciting. Thank you for that. All right, Krista, another question for you here. I think Chris mentioned this in his opening remarks, but you have these guiding pillars that are listed in the Flex Power Bundle RFP. So I was wondering how do you balance those guiding pillars while implementing and integrating new innovative technologies?
Well, our guiding pillars are part of our strategic approach, and we use that as a lens for all of our initiatives. And we really emphasize, I think Chris and Paula and probably even Rudy touched on this, is the Flex Power Bundle is really emphasizing the guiding pillars of affordability for our customers. That's what they want. The reliability of the grid itself. As more and more folks go to renewable power, that sun doesn't shine all hours of the day, and the wind doesn't blow out all hours of the day. So we needed to be able to firm up that power. And so the reliability aspect is important, but also the environmental aspect of Flex Power Bundle. And so our approach is a bundle approach, because we wanted to be able to balance all of those things so that we can have a balanced approach for our customers to have the affordable power. We are very interested in the new technologies, and we want to take advantage of new technologies, but we can't do it at the scale, as something that's more proven, because the costs are higher. So, right, we want to enter those a little bit slower, not as big, but we still want to be able to take advantage of those with our renewables and our firming capacity, so that when our community needs the power, we're able to ramp up and serve those needs. And so it's just taking that balanced approach, right? Being able to balance the solar aspect, the 900 megawatts of solar, the 50 megawatts of energy storage, and then that 500 megawatts of firming capacity. And that's all sourced. So we're looking for long duration storage. It could be some traditional resources. We're not sure what we're going to get yet, but that's the balanced approach that we're taking. And that's really what's driving the bundled approach for our Flex Power Bundle.
Great, thank you. All right, I've got one more question for Rudy, and then we're going to get into the audience questions. So we've gotten a few good questions that I'll go through in just a minute, but everyone else submit any other questions that you have. Rudy, switching gears a little bit. So I know you were in operations before you took on your role as Chief Customer Engagement Officer. Also at CPS, you were in operations. So can you talk a little bit about how your former role has informed the role that you have now? Any lessons learned that you took from the operations side, and how that has translated into serving customers?
Well, first off, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Chris and Paula for giving me the opportunity to lead the extraordinary men and women in our distribution operations division. Being responsible for our distribution system in San Antonio was an honor of a lifetime. I can tell you I didn't sleep real well when, I used to sleep real well in the rain, and I didn't sleep real well in the rain for the 4.5 or so years that I led distribution operations, because I worried about our people, and I worried about our customers, and and I took my responsibility to Paula and Cris and the community really seriously, to ensure that our reliability was everything our customers expected of us. I spent a lot of time getting to know my crews personally, and when you get to know the crews personally, and you listen to feedback and you learn from them, it makes you a better leader at the end of the day for every part of the business that you may ultimately be responsible for. So it immediately made me a better leader for the company by getting to know the crews and how they do what they do. I managed some pretty big storms for the community, and so I understand that better now that I lead our call center operation and the pressure it puts on our energy advisors for helping to provide information to our customers. We made some really good gains in terms of upgrading our outage map, which has implications for being the Chief Customer Engagement Officer now. So everything about the time I spent in operations has made me more prepared to lead the customer engagement side of the business. And, we really changed the way we thought about reliability during my time in operations. Our customer experience is only as good as the worst experience by that one customer who's not having a great reliability experience with CPS Energy. And so in addition of thinking about how we provide service from a system perspective, you have to keep in mind that if you have one customer out there who really is not happy with CPS Energy because they're out week in and week out, and we're not paying attention to that, then we're not doing our job as a company of providing, a high quality service to our customer. And I really got to, credit Paula and Cris for changing the way we think about reliability. And we've really brought that over to the customer engagement part of the business now. We think about every interaction with our customer as the definition of how we provide service, because one bad experience really ruins the reputation we've built as a customer centric company. So we want to learn from every experience, good or bad, to do the best we can do for our customers.
Thank you. I think you made some good points in there that are, I think, just good career advice for anyone, kind of taking experiences, even though the role might be different, and applying that to your next role. So thank you for that. All right. Now moving on into the audience questions. We do have about 15 minutes or so left, so you still have some time to get your questions in. I do have a few here though. So the first one I'm going to read, this actually comes from a CPS employee, Rosario Hopkins. What is the plan for combating information technology inequality in the city of the future? I'm not sure who wants to take that one.
Well, I'll jump in a bit, and appreciate the question. Thanks, Rosario. Well, I think what we believe is that there's a great deal of benefit in partnering. Probably seems like about 3 years ago, we decided as entities that are governmentally owned, the City of San Antonio, CPS Energy, SAWS, Bexar County, I think we have VIA, in particular, in the River Authority, started creating a pact with one another to see if we can look at things to leverage technology and to create pilot centers. It's going slow, but I think we have a lot of hope associated with these innovation centers that have been put up in different parts of San Antonio. There's one downtown, there's one on the south side, there's one on the north side. And what we're trying to do is think about how can we make technology work better, devices. Relative to the digital divide, I think we also need to think more in terms of partnership. We have done some exploratory work with the San Antonio Housing Authority to see if there's a way for us to leverage some assets that we have with things that the city is able to do. And as well as there are programs even at the Federal Reserve. I will tell you, it's been tough to make those partnerships happen, but we are committed. And Vivian Boye, which you know, who our senior chief and CIO, has been focused on how can we make that happen. I think that one of the challenges we have is, you know, people look and think that we have a lot of fiber, so we should be able to fix the digital divide. A couple of challenges that we have, since we're a municipal, we're precluded to get into several certain aspects of communication. And so we have to be really, really careful that we're not infringing upon another industry. But we have invited the tech companies, the telecoms, to partner with us again and do that, the best work that they can do, where their expertise really, really sits. And then again, if there's a way to leverage some of the backbone that we have, we are open to that. We do need to be careful that we do not stress the system and you know, if we add on a lot of things that take up bandwidth and impair the way that our back office systems work, then we're truly out of our place. And so we have some excess capacity that we can do, but we cannot fill in the entire void. We also have some investments to do in terms of updating our infrastructure. So it's a pretty complex landscape. I just will tell you that we're open to many solutions and to partnerships and to see again how things can work. We think the anchor would very much be the city of San Antonio proper, telecoms, and then us joining in to see how we can fill in some gaps. We'll slow progress, but we do see that that's an avenue to add value.
Yeah, you mentioned the city, and I know that the innovation team at the city is very focused on the digital divide, and it's another area where I think San Antonio is doing a lot of showing a lot of great leadership. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.
All right, a question from Mike Thompson. This one looks like it might be for Cris. What initiatives do you have for residential, small commercial IoT? This is using interfaces to synergize load and generation for lower cost, higher reliability, and renewable energy.
Oh, that's a good question. I can read that in a number of different ways, and I'll partner with Rudy on maybe answering it. You know, we are very interested in supporting products on the customer side of the meter, and you know, the old days it was the utility side and the customer side, and now it's all one grid. It all extends all the way to whatever appliance that customer has going on, whether it's, you know, someone in the home or a small business or a big industrial complex. So you know, we have to think differently about, you know, Internet of Things, you know, so to speak, about how we deliver products and services. But I'll give you an example. We have a large grocer that basically is looking to make their stores more resilient, because if a storm comes through, or, you know, if a car hits a pole and that grocer goes out, they've got to throw away product after a couple of hours. So they want to be able to microgrid and isolate there during that time. The good news is our system is up 99.99% of the time, so they don't really need that function most of the time, and so we can use that and basically supply power to the rest of our community or to ERCOT. And so it's a nice partnership with the customer on a DG type component. And so ultimately that type of technology could be a solar array, it could be batteries, it could be all sorts of different things. So I think the way we think about Internet of Things is, and I'll again defer to Rudy on it, less from a technology standpoint and more from a customer product and what value is this bringing to the customer. And ultimately it's all about, you know, how do they make their system more reliable? How do they get more affordable bills? How do they, you know, decarbonize their footprint? So we look at IoT from a customer perspective in terms of what specific value are we giving those customers? And I'll let Rudy chime in if I missed anything.
No, Chris, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Over the 10 years of our STEP program, our Save for Tomorrow Energy Plan, we saw, significant decreases in the average use of our customers, from the time we started STEP to the time we achieved our STEP goal, which is in 2019. We started STEP by incenting the use of CFL light bulbs, and then stopped doing that. Once you couldn't get an old light bulb at Lowe's or Home Depot anymore, and our programs transition. So as and Paula talks about that all the time, we don't incent light bulbs anymore because the behavior's changed. Well, that's really, we're less technology focused and we're more behavioral focused. And as we think about Flex Step and what our programs are going to look like going forward, we're going to do a tried and true program on weatherization and commercial and residential energy efficiency programs, because we know those work. Demand response and our ability to lower our load during the hottest times of the summer, that's value to CPS Energy, that's value back to the ERCOT market. That's really important. But you will start to, we expect when we release our innovation and technology RFP as part of our next 10-year plan, that we're going to get inside the home, technology that will help customers sit at their computer at the office and be able to, turn on a crock pot and do IoT type technology things that will make their use of energy much more, less passive and much more active. And I think when I think about technology, I think about the active use of energy and how we can enable our customers in that regard as we look to the next 10 years of our program. And Paula, I will defer to you if you have anything to add, but when I think about the future, that's how I think about the future of our Flex Step program.
I don't have anything to add in the interest of, I saw some other really great questions. So I think, why don't I let us keep going?
All right. This question comes from Eddie, who I think might also be with a utility, but I'm not sure which one. He asks, do y'all see residential solar working from an economic standpoint? And he says, we don't, so we're thinking maybe community solar.
Why don't I take this one, and Chris, since you had the solar programs, please feel free to chime in. We are giving our customers solar in every way they're willing to accept it, and we will continue, to do that. Now, will we incent rooftop solar in the same way in the future that we have in the past? Maybe not. But what we do want is to bring more of our customers into the solar program. We've had a great amount of success with our community solar program. We've got a big program called Big Sun Community Solar, where we partnered with a third party to go put solar on parking structures for commercial customers. And we've sold out of that program, so we've gotten a tremendous response to the community solar offerings that we've put out there, because not everybody has a roof that's facing the right direction or is structurally sound, or has too many trees on their lot and doesn't want to cut down their trees. So it provides another option. So I'm bullish personally on the opportunities community solar has to offer. I know Chris and Krista and the team are adding a distributed component for solar into the Flex Power Bundle that we expect to get plenty of responses on. So I will tell you, I think we will continue to try to bring more customers, low-income customers, education customers. We have some low-hanging fruit that we think we've got to really solve, for within the structure of our programs going forward, that we've got an opportunity to serve better. But yes, I think we're going to continue to offer solar every way possible going forward.
Hey, Aaron, the only thing I wanted to add to that is here's what I do think about this economic issue. We do have a challenge in San Antonio where we've had the same rate structure for decades and decades. It's a volumetric rate structure where the fixed cost, and we've unitized our fixed cost. And the problem that we see with solar is that we didn't create or have not yet created the right distribution of fixed costs. We're of a massive size. You know, if we have over 7,000 megawatts of capacity and our overall solar penetration is in the low hundreds, we feel like what we're doing right now, as Rudy says, incenting behavior. And we do believe that the place for these solar investments are, again, to seed the industry to keep improving solar, which we think we've seen the price points come down significantly, but it's not sustainable over time. Utilities ultimately need to redistribute their cost structure, not to make it, not to overload it, but to fairly put in the fixed costs in the right place and still allow customers to get incented programs, and that will ultimately pay for their investments over time. It's really important, though, that price of the system keeps coming down. So I think that, to your point, the economics aren't great because, again, we have these very traditional structures in terms of our rates. And that's something that I think all utilities have to find the right balance on. Right now, we're able to manage it. It is much more important for us to get the behavior right. And then we'll talk about equalizing the rate structure to support it so that you'll do more and more things that are more economic. And it's a win-win for the customer, for the third party, and for CPS Energy.
Great, thanks. And Eddie was with Brownsville PUB, so hopefully that was helpful for you, Eddie. All right, we had a question. We've got about 4 minutes left. I don't know if we can get a full answer to this question in 4 minutes, but this Karina Boston asks, what will the current administration bring to the forefront that previous administrations have not, or at least what can we hope to see? Anyone want to take that?
I will jump in a bit. You know, I think I just did a presentation to our board yesterday, and Cris and I kind of teamed on that. But I looked at the appointees and nominees associated with energy. I mean, you know, really and truly everything from natural resources to, you know, environmental czars and EPA, and there are a lot of connected positions and focus in this new Biden administration about the environment. And I think he's been absolutely clear that he is going to do all he can, quote unquote, and putting into place, rejoining the Paris Agreement, and ultimately trying to change the dynamic. I, by far, admire anyone who is in public office, and the office of the president has a huge task in front of him. We at CPS Energy believe that while all of these things are important, you can't leave industries behind. So there's a whole element of looking not just at utility companies. Actually, I think we're leaning in and pretty well positioned to make this evolutionary change. But the agricultural industry, the industrial processes, all of these things that really haven't had the investment, we have to find and encourage every single industry to find its way to net zero emissions. And, you know, a lot of things that are expensive, hydrogen, carbon capture, things like that, putting the alignment at the federal, state, and local levels, I think is, for us, our view is that it's extremely critical. So we appreciate the clarity in some cases that the Biden administration will bring in terms of their ideas. We think that, again, there needs to be some funding that goes along with it to support communities making their individual transition. I think only time will tell. I think the scary part is how much regulation will come in there before we can really get our arms around it. But CPS Energy, what we basically say is electrons and molecules love everyone. We're going to figure it out like everybody else, and we'll be glad to share our ideas as we go along the way.
All right, thank you. I think that's a good place to wrap things up. Thank you so much to Paula, Rudy, Cris, and Krista for joining today. Thank you everyone who joined for submitting your questions and watching along. Don't forget to register for City of the Future coming up in May. It's virtual and free and open to the public. Can register at cityofthefuture.io. And this event was recorded and will be shared with anyone who registered today. So thank you all again. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we will hopefully see you soon.
Happy New Year. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.